Waycross presents an election forum. For County Auditor, there are two candidates running. They are, in alphabetical order, Mike Messer Jr. and Dusty Rhodes.
Hello and good evening. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's Waycross Election Forum. This particular forum is for Hamilton County Auditor. I'm Jason Grisgork, Waycross Community Media's Government Access Coordinator. I'm very fortunate to have both candidates present for tonight's event. To my left, we have Mike Messer, and to his left, Mr. Dusty Rhodes. In a moment, I will begin with allowing both of the candidates an opening statement, and after that, I will open the email and phone lines to you, our viewing audience at home. So without further ado, Mr. Messer, opening statement goes to you first.
Thank you. Jason, thanks for having us tonight. I really appreciate it. Thanks to the Waycross Community Media for having us and everything they do in the community. Before I start, I also want to thank all our supporters across the county, from Hamilton, Anderson Township, Coleraine Township, Springfield Township. It's really been an honor and a privilege to be the Republican pro-life candidate in this race. And it's been great to get to know everybody, and I'm very thankful for all their support. You know, our founders set up a system of government, and at the foundation of that system was a system of checks and balances. It was a founding principle of our founders. They had the foresight to know that our government bodies require accountability. And I'm running to be the next auditor in Hamilton County because I believe in checks and balances. Mr. Rhodes' tenure for 25 years in this office is quite a long time. And I think now is the time that we need new leadership, new energy, new ideas, fresh perspective to bring to the County Auditor's Office. Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Rhodes, opening statement to you as well.
Jason, thanks. It's great to be at Waycross TV once again. Since you first elected me as Hamilton County Auditor in 1991, our office has been a leader in service, efficiency, and accountability. One local observer recently said we were the gold standard in transparency. Last week, the state treasurer called for state expenditures to be posted online so taxpayers could see how their money is being spent. Our office has been doing that since 2007. If there's a tax levy proposed in your community or school district, you can see what it will actually cost you if passed by the voters by going to our award-winning website. Our neighborhood conferences allow property owners to participate in setting their property values. That initiative has been copied by county auditors across the state. When other county offices have technology problems, they call us. In the past year alone, we've helped the county engineer, the coroner, and even the county commissioners. I was the first Hamilton County auditor to return unspent funds to local communities and school districts 2 years ago, giving back over $16 million. I could have legally spent every nickel of it. I didn't. I've worked to earn your trust and confidence, and I hope to have your vote for re-election.
All right. Thank you both. That's the easy part for them. Now it's the easy part for you. Some real simple rules of the road for tonight's forum. One, if you are going to be joining us tonight live here on the 29th of September, I ask for just a few things. Just make sure that you're a resident of Hamilton County. Two, that you give your name and address to our call handler in the back. We are only using that for identification purposes, that you, for your residency. You will only be ID'd by your name and location here online. And you have 15 seconds to get that almighty question out here. So let's make sure that those questions are succinct, as well as they must be applicable to the entire panel. No pointed questions, please. So with that, I'm going to start with my first question to Mr. Rhodes, starting with a 2-minute question. As County Auditor, you are elected as of November. Where do we go with since you are an arm of the county, and they have seen many pieces of budgetary cuts, and we probably will see them once again. Where do you see the office going starting in your tenure? And again, we begin with Mr. Rhodes.
Well, the budget is set by the county commissioners. They're the ones that control that. We have to go and ask them for money to run our department. fortunately, we're able to run the real estate department from a real estate appraisal fund that they don't control. But I have consistently called for the county to pull back on the spending. Some of the things that they've done I've questioned. Putting $2.75 million into a country western bar on the banks, for one thing, I thought was pretty much of an excessive thing at a time when county employees have gone for 6 years without a raise. I'll continue to speak out and make suggestions and provide what I think is an important check and balance on the county commissioners. I have never accepted an endorsement from a county commissioner and never endorsed one of them for election because we have two separate offices. The nice thing about county government is the independent offices that we have. And the other thing I think is important that we do, I am going to fight to reestablish the local government fund, which is a promise that the state made to counties, cities, villages, and townships dating back to the 30s that the current administration rather has canceled, or at least taken away 50% of it. I'm going to fight to get that money back. It would mean about $10 million a year to the county, $10 million to the city, and significant amounts to all the local communities, and that amount has been effectively taken away by the state. So those are some of the things I would offer to the commissioners, and of course I'd offer them my counsel in terms of spending if they were to come and ask me. But I think it's important to remember that the commissioners have control of the budget. The county auditor does not.
Thank you, Jason. I think it's also important to remember, too, the county commission has cut the budget by almost $100 million. The Republicans on the county commission, Chris Monzel and Greg Hartman, have done a fine job in being fiscal stewards for the taxpayers. An area where I believe we can continue to cut costs, Jason, and increase productivity is our investment in technology. In 2014, there's tools that we have at our disposal that we can certainly implement in the auditor's office and countywide to cut costs, increase efficiency, and productivity. On a quick note in regards to the local government fund, I think that comment and that issue requires some context. Governor Kasich, when he took office 4 years ago, had 89 cents left in the state's savings account in the rainy day fund. Prior Governor Ted Strickland, who was a Democrat in the same party as Mr. Rhodes, balanced Ohio's budget on the stimulus package for Barack Obama. Governor Kasich did not do that. He balanced the state budget, which he's legally required to do, by cutting the local government fund. That had the biggest impact on townships in our county. Township leaders and elected officials need to know that Mike Messer is going to work with them to solve any and all financial problems that they're facing. I've built my career in solving distressed situations. I'm a problem solver. I'm an attorney by trade. And I think it's critically important to call out the township's budget, revenue-wise, were decreased by 1 to 3%. That's a vital statistic that I think needs to be mentioned. There's a new era of government that I think we need to, a new approach and a new era of government that's going to require more fiscal discipline across the board, and it's going to start at the local level.
All right. Mr. Rhodes, you have 1 minute to respond if you choose.
Well, the problem is that the state budget has increased by 24% in the last 4 years almost of the current Kasich administration. And the fact is that they suggested that everybody shares the pain. Well, the only people sharing the pain are the local governments. The state has not cut back anything. In fact, actually expanded some things and made the local governments the whipping boy. My question is, how do you have a vital state and how do you push the economy if you don't have good, strong local governments? And that was a significant part of a lot of budgets that is being overlooked. There's been some other cuts, too, over the last 10 years or so to local governments, which have really put them in hard straits. I mean, Norwood needs a couple of new police cars. They lost $250,000 out of the local government fund. So I think it's good to put that in context, too.
All right. Mr. Messer.
Sure. I think what Mr. Rhodes is proposing is the big government tax and spend liberal policies that his party espouses. That's not the answer. My answer is in stark contrast to that. We're not going to abide by the redistribution system that the state has been giving money to the local governments since the 30s, I believe. That's a state subsidy. It's a handout. That's not the approach to go forward. We need a problem solver. We need someone who's solutions focused. who's going to sit at the table with the local governments, who's built his career on solving financial problems, look through the budgets, and help them solve any and all problems that they're having with their budgets.
All right. Next question, Mr. Messer, we'll start with you on this. Is looking at, we've already talked about the local government fund being a very large problem. Let's look at the office in general itself. What problem do you see within the office currently, and how would you go about fixing that? And I will go 2 minutes on that.
After having the opportunity to campaign for almost 8 months in this county, the problems were brought to me. Over the course of my campaign, several people have reached out to me unsolicited, email, phone call, written me letters, explaining to me their grievances with the auditor's office. Everything from the customer service, their questions falling on deaf ears, not getting responses to their questions. People call the auditor's office because they have a question or a problem. We need to have a solution and an answer every time, 10 out of 10 times. It has to be consistent. The other big issue that I think our county is facing is our property tax issue. The valuations in Hamilton County are not accurate. That process has been outsourced for almost 25 years, and I think it's resulting in many inaccuracies in values across our counties, both residential homes and commercial businesses. So when we talk about customer service, we talk about property values, and we talk about culture. The kind of culture that I've built in my business, in my law firm, the kind of culture that's going to be required to succeed going forward is going to be one that's solutions focused. We're going to be focused on the people's problems and solving their problems, not politics. The people elect us. We have to do the people's business, and that's what I'm elected to do, and that's what I will do. We need to be accountable, and we need to be transparent. These are ideals that I'm going to bring to the auditor's office and into our culture.
Mr. Rhodes, 2 minutes on the same question.
Well, we continue to get compliments on our customer service. I don't know where my opponent has been, but we talk to people all the time and we answer questions all the time. I am very active on social media. I answer my own phone calls. I've been out talking to groups across this county for some 24 years. We act on problems that are presented to us, and I think we act in most ways in a way that people would appreciate. One of the important things when I took office was to depoliticize the appraisal process and property values. Our property values are now being called into question, and it's interesting to hear because they're all approved and reviewed by the Republican tax commissioner of the state of Ohio. We can't put a value on the books without the Republican tax commissioner saying that it's all right. And they approve our appraisals. The proof of the pudding, I guess, is in the amount of complaints that go forward, and we have consistently run less than 2% out of 350,000 parcels. Many of the complaints are based on sales, which is kind of a slam dunk. But I will give you one other quote. In Cuyahoga County, which has the county charter form of government, they've got about 35% of the present cases before the Board of Tax Appeals. Hamilton County has about 2%. So I'll take a back seat to no one when it comes to conducting an honest, non-political appraisal. That was the problem, and that's actually what got me elected the first time, was the scandals revolving around the appraisals.
Right. Mr. Messer.
So our viewers know, Jason, Hamilton County is in the top 10% highest property tax county in the country. We're 332nd out of 3,249 counties in the United States. Number two, I think it's important that the viewers and the voters of Hamilton County understand that there has been mismanagement in the auditor's office. In 2006 and 2007, Mr. Rhodes was fined over $200,000 for failing to send timely and accurate retirement information and payments to Columbus. That mismanagement will not happen under my watch. That is critical information that did not get to Columbus in a timely fashion, in an accurate fashion, and quite frankly, it was due to the complacency and the stagnancy of the auditor's office. That mismanagement is unacceptable in Hamilton County.
The reason that we didn't send those numbers to Columbus was on advice of the Republican county prosecutor, because it was an insecure service, and it would have exposed all the employees of Hamilton County to having their information go out over the internet. we never paid $200,000. The actual amount was something like $40,000 and resulted in some big changes at PERS. But that's the reason that we didn't send those numbers up there over an insecure line and expose the county to the kind of thing that's going on right now with some of the stores that you heard about, that all your information has gone out. So that's a misrepresentation, and it shows an incredible lack of knowledge of what really happened.
If you are joining us
Can I
tonight,
respond to that?
I'd prefer not to,
Okay.
that we would go on to other question on that. I do want to let our audience know that if you are joining us on September 29th, you have the opportunity to join us as well. Email us at live@waycross.org or phone us at 825-3971. That is our phone number here. All questions will be answered. I gave you the rules of the road. Come and join us this evening. Mr. Rhodes, I'm going to come back to you. The question, of course, we've talking about problems and things that we can fix, but what are things that you feel that are in the auditor's office now that are in good standings that need to be that benchmark that needs to continue forward into 2015 and forward?
Well, that's a good question. It's a general question and hard to answer, but I think most people will agree that we've run a pretty good shop. I mean, I've been endorsed by FOP, by Right to Life, by the Cincinnati Board of Realtors. It's quite a list, and these are people that use our office every day, specifically the realtors who have to depend on our information. We've heard charges of antiquated technology. We just put a new mobile app on the telephone just now, something we've been working on for about 6 months. And I think that the whole approach to this is that we can never rest on our laurels. And over 24 years in office, I've never done that. We've got an excellent staff of people. They're very competent. As I mentioned earlier, other county offices come to us for help. So if we're as bad as some people say we are, I guess the whole county is in rough shape. But our goal is to constantly try to improve the office, improve our service, and I think we've been pretty successful at doing that.
Right, Mr. Meser?
Sure, thank you. Unfortunately, actions speak louder than words. And similar to Mr. Rhodes' 20-year campaign against double dipping, his lobbying against double dipping, lobbying legislators to outlaw that procedure when you can take your pension and also receive your salary. He says one thing, but then he does another. In 2010, when he's eligible to double dip, he does. I don't know that kind of political arrogance is what the citizens of Hamilton County are looking for. We need trusted, dedicated leadership that does what they say they're going to do. On the mobile app, I've been talking about a mobile app for over a year. We met with various auditors around the state who have a mobile app. It's nice to see that Mr. Rhodes was proactive, took our idea, and we thank him for implementing it. When we speak to a complacent culture and complacent operations at the auditor's office, we don't need to look any further than Mr. Rhodes himself in an Inquirer article over the summer where he says our operation is as efficient as possible. He said that himself. And that's why I'm running. There's a complacency, a comfort level at the auditor's office that's been around for quite some time. And it's important that that kind of culture does not exist in such a vital county office as the chief fiscal officer of the county. We need someone to be proactive, that takes initiative. Jason, I had to launch a hotline in early August because we had so many people reaching out to me describing their grievances with their experience at the auditor's office that I couldn't wait to win an election to begin solving problems. So we have an active hotline right now. The number is 452-8272, and anybody can call it if they have a problem with the auditor's office. We'd be happy to document their name and begin to help them solve their problem.
Thank you.
People have been calling me for 24 years, and I've been talking to them, and my office number is up and on it's 946-4047. They can talk right to me. There's a number of things that my opponent has mentioned here. The first one is he has never contacted our office, to the best of my knowledge, and suggested a mobile app. Some of the other auditors he's talked to have put them up and had problems with them. We wanted ours to be right on before we made the public announcement. And as for the matter of double dipping, I think the ultimate hypocrisy is on the part of people who do it and don't say anything about it. I have a resolution approved by the county commissioners, two of whom are backing his campaign, approved just 2 weeks ago. They talk the talk but don't walk the walk because they've just hired another person to a position and allowed that person to double dip. So this is a topic that needs a little more discussion. I'm still against it. I will continue to be against it. I will not pay for car insurance when I don't own a car, and that's why I'm taking my retirement money now.
Thank you. Mr. Messer.
Mr. Rhodes is against it, but he does it. So that's kind of an oxymoron, I suppose. And as far as the app goes, it is an incomplete app that Mr. Rhodes has. It merely covers the property searches in the county. It does not cover dog tags or any other information that one would want to seek from the auditor's office. So it's a half job, and it's fairly incomplete in my opinion. Again, Auditor Rhodes for 20 years was against double dipping, called out individuals, elected leaders, officials that did it. He was adamantly against it. I think at one point he pledged not to do it, and then he does it. Says one thing, does another. That's not leadership. When he's called out on doing it, pledges to give the money to charity. I don't know that happens. He did not need to do that or say that, but he did. So that's not principled leadership.
All right. Mr. Messer, this next question will start with you. Obviously, we have been through a very terrible real estate bomb. We are slowly getting back. How do you feel that the real estate side of the auditor is being affected with this recovery or slow recovery, and what can the office do to help, in some ways, prevent the people that you are serving?
Well, first of all, I'm an attorney, Jason. I work with a lot of families and businesses that were victims of our Great Recession. I sat at a conference table working with them daily to solve their financial problems. Many folks came to me who were losing their home, and we need to figure out a way to catch them up on their mortgage, save their house, save their rental properties, and we did so. One of the things that Mr. Rhodes was absent on during that process was reaching out to our citizens, talking to them about all the opportunities there were to prevent foreclosures, different federal, state, and local programs that were present to our citizens to help them save their home. They may not have the money or the time to pursue legal solutions. There were many non-legal solutions that other auditors across the state were proactive, took the initiative, and reached out to their constituents to inform them of what options were out there to save your home. As far as the real estate market in Hamilton County, listen, I love Hamilton County. I want this place to be prosperous for the next 500 years. How we can affect it from the auditor's office goes back to our appraisal process. That process creates inaccuracies. I don't care what Republican or what Democrat stamps approval on values. That doesn't mean anything to me. What means something to me is that we work day in, day out to correct a problem, and that's to get accurate property values in Hamilton County. So this is a place where people want to move. So this is a place where people want to bring a business, start a business, or relocate their business.
Mr. Rhodes.
Yeah, the auditor's office is not an economic development agency, and I'm sure there's a number of positions for an attorney that can get involved in that. That is not our job. We've heard some talk tonight about principled leadership. Mr. Messer's family law firm was publicly reprimanded by the Supreme Court. He knows that because he went up and argued the case for deceptive advertising. And I would suggest to you tonight that that is not principled leadership. This happened in 2012, and there was a case that was on internet deceptive advertising. I would suggest that some of the things we're hearing right now, these generalities about inaccurate property appraisals, are the same type of thing. This is deceptive advertising, and if you want to talk about principled leadership, I don't think being publicly reprimanded by the Ohio Supreme Court is an example of that, and yet that happened, and I have the case right here.
Mr. Messer?
Yes, that did happen. That case is it's something that, if you read the dissent in that case, there were Supreme Court justices that did not agree with it. It's a gray area, legal advertising, especially on the internet. We've been in business for 35 years. My mom started that practice 35 years ago. Herself, she hung out her own shingle, and she's worked her rear end off to build a business and to provide for her family. Same goes with my father, who came to this country in 1975 as a Catholic from Beirut, Lebanon. No one's given us anything. We've made mistakes, and we've had great successes. I stand by my firm 100%. We've talked about the misrepresentation, sending money up to Columbus inaccurately and untimely with Auditor Rhodes, and the taxpayers had to bail him out on that, over a couple $100,000. We talk about the illegal transfers that happen at his transfer desk down at the county auditor's office that he's doing nothing about, and he knows about them. The gold standard in transparency, I can assure you, is not found at the county auditor's office under Dusty Rhodes' administration.
And
We
Mr.
were
Rhodes.
specifically told by the county prosecutor that the only thing we could do with a transfer was accept it if the papers were right. Now, that's what the county prosecutor told us, and that's what we do. It's important that we maintain the law of the land. I took an oath to uphold the law of the state of Ohio, and that was the law as told to us. We have no right to investigate transfers, as Mr. Measure has on occasion suggested. It shows a woeful lack of knowledge, particularly for somebody who's an attorney. And as far as the hundred thousands of dollars, we never paid hundreds of thousands
How
of
much
dollars.
did you pay?
The county had to pay about $40,000, but the fact is that if we had sent information up there in an insecure fashion, we would have exposed the county to as much as millions of dollars in lawsuits from people whose information was spread out over the internet. And again, I would suggest to you that the county prosecutor advised us not to do that, that for which I am now being criticized by a man who claims to be an attorney.
I'm not claiming to be an attorney. I am an attorney licensed in Ohio, Kentucky, and Florida.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rhodes, next question to you. We are halfway through, so if you are interested in getting your question in, please call 825-3971 or live at waycross.org is our email address. Mr. Rhodes, of course, what we're seeing about a lot of the offices in Hamilton County is some of them get lost, and the image of the office is sometimes not well seen. Going into the next term, starting in 2015, how would you bring the auditor's office into that new light? We've talked about the mobile app, but are there other items that bring the auditor's office a little bit more to the home front, shall we say?
I've been doing an outreach ever since I was elected as county auditor, speaking to hundreds of groups across the county about what we do, how to do it. I hold classes for the realtors. I explain to people how to file complaints on their property values, and we encourage that if they feel their property values are inaccurate. And with all of that, less than 2% of the people file. But I think it's important that we use social media. We appear on programs like this when we have the opportunity. But I am a part of this community and have been for many years, and get out and talk to people, and I think that's important. The other thing is, I think it's important that people appreciate the value of county government with independent offices, and not want some kind of a massive scheme like the county charter that people talk about from time to time. We are independent. We are accountable directly to the voters and directly to the taxpayers, and that's the way I like it. And I will continue to use social media and every other possible way of reaching people and explaining what we do and how we do it, including our website and, of course, the mobile app, which is a start in another direction to get that information out.
Mr. Measure?
Jason, Mr. Rhodes' website is antiquated. It's an old website. It's not user-friendly. You cannot find the information that you're looking for. It's not transparent, number one. Number two, the county every year files a financial report. That financial report is very difficult for average citizens to read. It's difficult for professional people to read. There needs to be a simple, user-friendly financial annual budget that regular citizens can read and understand the county finances. The Board of Revision process, where individuals go to challenge their property values, that process is broken. We have all-time highs on how many people are challenging their property taxes. If our values were accurate in Hamilton County, how come so many people have to challenge to change their values? Furthermore, as the CFO of a county, almost 800, more than 800,000 people, our CFO, Mr. Rhodes, has no relationship with the county commissioners. Imagine a business that has no relationship, where the CFO has no relationship with the CEO. That system is also broken.
Mr. Rhodes?
There you go again. The county commissioners certainly thought they had a relationship when they came to us and asked us to help bail them out of their technology issues. My opponent apparently doesn't understand that the Board of Revision is actually operated by 3 people: the auditor, the treasurer, and the president of the county commission.
I understand that.
I've got results of a seminar that the prosecutor prepared on the Board of Revision, which I brought for him tonight to help to educate him on that. The number of people complaining are not at an all-time high. They peaked at 7,000 when the economy tanked. They're now about 5,000. They continue to be less as a percentage basis than other counties around the state, which I think attests to the fact that we are working with the people, giving them a chance to come out, tentative new value neighborhood conferences, which has been copied by these auditors around the state that my opponent keeps referring to. And this kind of thing is just, I hear this and I don't know where it's coming from. Our website is complimented by everybody in this area.
Thank you. Mr. Messer.
The property search website part of the website can be complimentary, sure. The vast majority of the rest of the website is extremely antiquated. The county taxpayers bailed out Mr. Rhodes in 2007. He bailed out his campaign in the middle of July when he loaned his campaign $100,000 because he did not have the support to raise the money. And then when he talks about the local government funds, he's asking the state again to bail out the local government funds. So between the taxpayers bailing him out in 2007 under his mismanagement, him bailing out his own campaign this summer, and then asking the state to bail out the local governments, it's just the big government tax and spend liberal policies that have failed us over the last 8 years.
Here's an example of the big government tax and spend liberal policies. This is a chart showing what we've done with our employees from when I started. This is a chart of what happened during the same period for the county. I'm amazed to hear this because I have been recognized across the county as one of the most conservative elected officials in government, and now to be tagged a big government liberal indicates to me that this young man has not really followed what's been going on in this county for the last 24 years, and I can understand that. But it's incorrect, it's inaccurate, and it's just plain wrong.
That's a nice chart. Yeah, that's a really nice chart that talks about the decrease of the number of employees in his office, but we decreased our employees in the auditor's office because we outsourced their work. So it's very nice to see that we have around 80 employees in the auditor's office now. But the real question is, what have we done to the budget to decrease the budget when it comes to, is there a correlation between the less amount of employees and a lowering of the budget? That's a question I have.
Because we gave back $16.5 million in unspent funds 2 years ago. I think that's the proof.
Which you're statutorily required to do.
Well, no county auditor did it until I got elected. Well, so maybe the other ones of your party that
he's
were
doing
there
his
for
job,
years.
so he wants credit for doing his job.
Thank you very much. Of course, well, we'll continue on with the questions here going forward. You had just made mention about the budget, Mr. Messer. We'll go from there. We're going to start from that point. What would you be looking at come 2015 as a budgetary means? I mean, obviously we've seen enough cuts as it is. Can we cut more? Can we do more with less? What are we looking for in 2015?
I think there's always an opportunity to be more efficient. Unlike the quote in the article in the Cincinnati Enquirer where Mr. Rhodes said his office was as efficient as possible, I'm the complete opposite. We're always going to be looking for ways to improve. We're always going to be looking for ways to save money, to save taxpayers money, to send the signal around the country that this is a tax-friendly environment for families to move to, for businesses to move to, and for businesses to start. So we're always looking for places to be more efficient. I'm taking the Pope's approach, Jason. Once we win, we're going to look at everything top down, and we're not going to make any changes for 90 days. And on day 91, we're going to have a slew of recommendations, proposals, ideas, and opportunities of where we think we can come in, be more effective, and provide cost savings for the county and the taxpayers of this county.
Mr.
To
Rhodes.
imply that we're not constantly looking at ways to improve our service is just, it's bizarre.
You said it yourself.
The property, I did not say we're not always looking for ways to, well, thank you, but we did not say that. You're taking it out of context, but that's understandable given your record. That's the kind of thing that you have done and you are doing in this campaign. One example, Blue Ash Civic Association supporting new leadership in the auditor's office. That was a recent tweet on September 2nd from Mr. Measure, who spoke to them. Well, they made no endorsement, but that implies that they're supporting his candidacy. This is the kind of thing that I'm dealing with, and it's interesting, it's unusual, and I welcome it. Property taxes are voted by the people of this county. They're not assessed by the auditor. And the fact is, even if we had every property value way too high or too low, and he says they're inaccurate, but he doesn't say if they're too high or too low, it wouldn't affect the amount of money that the people get, because there's reductions in the millages when the values go up and down. But property taxes are set by the people who vote. They're not set by the auditor. Our job is to set those values, and the record is that we have done a darn good job of doing that, particularly cleaning up a real mess when I got into office, when I took office in 1991. And as far as this idea that our website is archaic, gosh, I have yet to hear that from anyone. From anyone. I mean, people tell me that yours is the best website in the area, and keep it going. And as I say, the realtors who use it more than perhaps anybody else have endorsed me for re-election. Now, as far as giving a loan to my campaign early on, I'm sorry, my mom and dad weren't able to give me $10,000 right off the bat to start, like Mr. Measure's parents were. But that money has been raised, and more than raised, and I'm real pleased about it, and I'm grateful to my supporters.
All right. Mr. Measure.
The Blue Ash Civic Association is supporting us. Prior to 2010, Mr. Rhodes has not had an opponent since 1998. I think now, through this campaign, hopefully competition will bring about the best ideas. But I think we're seeing now, when we're calling Mr. Rhodes out on facts, that he becomes disgruntled and doesn't want to talk about them. Well, that's the beauty of our democracy. The two candidates can run. I'm the Republican conservative choice in this campaign. And it's just, I find it humorous that the past that Mr. Rhodes has been giving all these years, when we call him to be accountable and transparent, he doesn't want to stick to the facts.
The Republican mayor of Blue Ash is the head of the Civic Association and told me on the phone a week ago they endorsed no candidate in that race.
I didn't say they endorsed me.
The Republican mayor of Blue Ash has invited me to come and speak to them, and if you will, set the record straight. When we begin hearing some facts from Mr. Measure, other than glittering generalities, we'll be glad to respond. But I have heard very, very little to date, just a bunch of glittering generalities and a lot of things which, quite frankly, indicate there is some kind of an age discrimination thing going. I resent the idea that anyone in their 60s or 70s can't serve and can't do a job, and yet we're kind of getting these overtones in some of the material that Mr. Measure's putting out. Disgruntled? Hardly. Amused? Yes, for sure.
If you don't want to call facts, not being for double dipping and then for it when you were eligible, loaning your campaign $100,000, breaking a promise to voters saying you're going to give that money to charity, being in office for almost 25 years, illegal property transfers happening at your office, and inaccurate property taxes. If you don't want to call those facts, maybe you're delusional.
They're not facts.
The elderly people in Hamilton County, the elderly people in Hamilton County face a big challenge. They're retired. They're on fixed incomes. Their property values, their property taxes are going up. What's the solution there? How are we going to help our aging population who are retired and have no way or means of making more money? I care about those people. I'm going to be here for the next 75 years, God willing, to help those people. I've helped many of them. Age discrimination is comical, and I'll leave it at that. But
interestingly, his conservative Republican administration in Columbus has actually cut the homestead exemption for new people applying to it. I fought for the homestead exemption to be expanded. I wrote a letter to Governor Kasich. It's on my website. He never responded. We're going to continue to fight to resume the homestead exemption for people. I would suggest to Mr. Measure that I have broken no promises, and I think it's a little interesting that these people are talking about this double dipping thing again, when the fact was that I had to take the money or lose it. It was one of those situations when you get to a certain number of years. I have fought against it. I continue to fight against it. I think it's wrong. I would much rather I would much rather be contributing more money to my retirement because I too intend to be around for a while and building that retirement rather than taking it. And as for the charities, it's on the Right to Life website, Right to Life, who has endorsed me again this year. And Mr. Measure and anybody else is welcome to take a look at some of the groups that I've supported.
Right to Life only endorses incumbents, and there's no amounts on his paperwork that he's referring to. So we don't know if he gave him $5 or $25.
I can assure you it's a little more than $5, and Right to Life does not just endorse incumbents.
Thank you. Mr. Rhodes, next question goes to you. We've talked about a little bit of a triangle. We've talked about the state, we've talked about the county, we've talked about the people that you do serve. One of the other people that you do serve, and we've talked about this, of course, are the realtors. What is the best way that the county auditor can stay in great standings with those realtors to make a better county?
One of the things we can do is stay out of their way, and I've always been a proponent of staying out of the way of people who are doing business. I don't think government oftentimes gets in the way and causes them problems. I have actually conducted classes for realtors to explain to them how to go through the Board of Revision process, and I continue to maintain good relations with them. We've even gone to the realtors' sales meetings and talked about how to use our website and picked up some great ideas along the way. From talking to them. So I think just maintaining communication with the realtors and working with them and listening to what they say, and I think most anyone will tell you we have, at least that's what they tell me. Now maybe someone is telling my opponent something else that they haven't brought to me, but nobody ever hesitates to come forward and tell us if they think there's a problem, and we deal with it. And I look forward to continuing to work with the realtors in the next term.
Mr. Measure.
The real estate community and all realtors in this county, real estate investors, homeowner associations, they're an important constituent to the auditor's office. And Mike Measure will be an advocate for them. I have a strong support in the real estate community and with the realtors. They are interested in our new ideas. They're interested in bringing some fresh perspective and new energy to the auditor's office. They're also very interested in keeping the lines of communication open. I have no interest in getting in the way of anybody making a profit, intensifying any type of regulation. That will not happen. The realtors are an important part of what we do at the auditor's office, and anything that will change will only be for the better, and we will certainly consult them in any and everything that we do, including improving my idea of the mobile app as well.
Mr. Rhodes? No? All right. Well, looks like we're getting down to the bottom of the time, so I want to make sure we get everything. So I'm going to ask the hardest question out there right now before we go to closing statements. Other than being a Democrat or a Republican, what makes you the best person for this county position? And I'm going to start with Mr. Rhodes for this question.
Well, I think as I said at the beginning, I think I've got a record that people can look at. I think my experience in local government was very, very helpful in helping me to prepare for this job. And so I didn't come on it as somebody just brand new in my first public office. I was in local government for 20 years and got to know how it operated. We have built a team of people that are among the best in the county. And this is something that I take a great deal of pride in. These people don't work for me, they work with me to serve the taxpayer. And that's what we're there for. And I would put my record against any other county auditor in the state or any other elected official in the county. We have not only talked the talk, but we've walked the walk. And we have run a very, very good business-like office that we look forward to continuing on behalf of the people of this county and serving the people of this county. And that's why I think that I'm qualified, and I have a record. That's the nice part about it, and I will run on that record.
Mr. Measure.
Jason, and to the viewers at home, thank you. This election is about the future, not the past. Mr. Rhodes has been in office for going on 25 years. That is quite simply too long. Our government, our system was not meant to make a politician a lifelong career politician. What I bring to the office is a private sector background, a legal background, licensed in Ohio, Kentucky, and Florida, and do business in all 3 states. I've helped multiple hundreds of small businesses and families succeed during this recession. I run a small business, our family law firm. I know what it takes to make a payroll every month. I know what it takes to run as lean and as efficient as possible. I also know what it takes to be friendly and courteous to your customers when they ask you questions. I also know what it takes to be prompt in getting back to them. But I talk to voters across this county every day and have been throughout this entire campaign. And the resounding message throughout this entire county is that we're ready for new leadership, principled leadership, honest leadership, leadership that's going to do what they say they're going to do and be held accountable to that standard. Those are the kind of principles, it's the kind of energy and vigor that we need in the auditor's office to really turn around what has become a stale, stagnant, complacent office.
I do kind of want to backtrail. I do apologize. I went a little bit out of order, so I will give Mr. Meser the opportunity to start the next question. This will be the last question before closing statements. It is a follow-up to that. We've all talked about the future. You've all said it. You want to be here in the next 75 years and beyond. 15 years later, we're walking down Hamilton County. What mark have you made?
That's a great question. I often think, Jason, about my legacy as a father now and an expecting father as well. That's important to me. What I've learned so far on this earth are two things that I hold near and dear to my heart. Number one, it's to do the right thing 10 out of 10 times. If that ball comes close to touching the foul line, don't touch it. And number two, I think the best leaders treat people very well and aren't looking for anything in return. Genuine sincerity. I believe in that, and that's the kind of person that I am. The hardest part in this whole campaign has been talking about myself. It's very hard for me to beat my chest. I don't do it. I don't like to do it. I was raised very humbly. I am humble. But having said that, if one day when I'm not here, I hope people that have had the chance to meet me, interact with me, look back and say Mike was a good guy and he did the right thing. He raised a great family. He has a great business, and we liked him.
Mr. Rhodes.
I've been talking to people in this county for even longer than 25 years, and my previous experience in the broadcasting business and as an investment broker, but I've been talking to people for at least as long as I've been here, and the message I keep getting from people is, you're doing a good job and we'd like you to continue it for us. That's what I've been hearing, not for the last 6 months or not for the last year, but for 25 years. I value that. I remember my father-in-law telling me about a mayor of Cincinnati named Henry Hall in 1908 that he spoke in glowing terms of. And my father-in-law is no longer here, but I would like him and future people to be able to talk about me in the same way. And that's what I would like to do. That's where I'd like to go. I take a back seat to no one in being raised from humble origins. My dad was a milkman. I was the oldest of 4 kids. I had to work my way through college, and I did. And then I was fortunate enough to come to Cincinnati. I wasn't born here. I came here. I chose this place to be and decided this is where I would raise my family and build my life. And I would like to go down along with the people like Murray Seasongood and Henry Hall and the other people that we look to and say, he did a good job. And people are saying that to me right now. You've done a good job, and we'd like you to continue. And as long as I'm able to, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, it's that time to do the honors of closing statement, so I will give each of you a minute to do a closing statement. And I'm going to start with Mr. Rhodes, please.
Jason, thank you very much, and thanks to Waycross Community Media for providing this opportunity to talk to you about my record as Hamilton County Auditor. I want to thank you for your support over the years. I hope to have your vote again this year, and I look forward to the opportunity to continue serving you and every citizen and taxpayer in Hamilton County.
All right. Mr. Meser.
Thank you as well, Jason. This was a lot of fun. It was a great opportunity to introduce myself to some of your viewers. My name is Mike Meser, Jr. I am the Republican choice for Hamilton County Auditor this November 4th. And I think we all can agree that anybody, and it's not an age issue, after 25 years in any position, can become complacent and stale. And that is the fact at the County Auditor's Office today, and that's why I'm running, to bring new energy, new vibrancy, a new perspective, a fresh perspective to county government, specifically our Auditor's Office. Thank you for all the support, and I appreciate your vote on November 4th.
Thank you very much. Mr. Messer, Mr. Rhodes, thank you for joining us this evening. Very much appreciate it. I want to thank all of you for joining us as well. I hope this forum was as informative and helpful in your voting decision. If you need more information about the candidates and issues, you can always visit the Hamilton County Board of Elections website at votehamiltoncounty.org. It should be at the bottom of the screen. You can go there as early as possible to get all the information you need. Remember, November 4th, we start voting. We are early voting as well, but our polls will open at 6:30 on that Tuesday, so get out there, do your due diligence, and remember what you've learned here today, and vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Waycross takes no position on candidates or issues. We provide these forums so that our viewers may be better informed voters for the November 4th election.